Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's micro lesson, we're going to break down a very slow and simple blues composition that's played fingerstyle. So if you've tried fingerstyle in the past and maybe been frustrated with it, give this one a try. I promise we'll break it down and we'll make it very simple. Now I've split the lesson into two halves. In this video, we'll go ahead and play through the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, which includes the little ending part, as well as download the tablature, you can go to activemelody.com/micro and do a search for ML027. That's a lesson number for this micro lesson. So let's go ahead and break down the first half. So this song is in the key of E, and the first thing that I played was I just strummed the E chord, and that happened right on the 1. So if we were counting this in, you'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I go into the little bass part there. Now, there's two components to this, and there is in any fingerstyle. You have the bass stuff, and then you have the melody or the lead part. And you put those two parts together to create fingerstyle. And what I'm doing is I'm using my thumb as my bass player. I always think of it that way. That makes it easy. So your thumb is always covering the 6th string, the low E string, or the 5th string. It's going back and forth as your bass player between those two low notes. Now your ring finger is always on the 1 string, middle finger is on the 2 string, and your index finger is on the 3rd string. So that's your E note, your B note, and your G note. And those 3 fingers just line up over those strings. So that when you're playing a melody, that's the second component, you're using those fingers. And it's a combination of those two that give you fingerstyle. Now it sounds harder than it is, and we're going to break this down and make it easy. The first thing I want you to do before you start playing everything at once is we're just going to learn the bass part. So we're just going to get our thumbs out and play on the 6th string and the 5th string. So here's what it sounds like, just the bass on its own. 2, 3, 4. So you can see it's very predictable. It's very obvious what's going on there. The thumb is defining the structure of the song. And so the first thing that I did was I did this little slide here. So I played the open 6th string, then I did a slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret, and I used my ring finger for that, and then back to the low 6th string. And then we do that same slide, and you're going to see this repeated over and over again between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. So now we're going to the 4 chord, which is the A. So now my thumb goes up to the 5th string. Now notice all these notes that I'm playing, I'm just using my thumb for them. So let's take it from the beginning again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now notice that happens right on the beat. There's my slide. Now we're going to play right on the beat on the 5th string. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do that same slide again from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 6th string, back to the low E note, and now we're going to walk up to the 5 chord. And all I'm doing there is I'm just using my thumb. Actually, it starts on the 6th string, so it goes. And so that's the 6th string, the 5th string, both open, 1st fret on the 5th string, 2nd fret on the 5th string, so it goes. And notice my fingers go ahead and create the chord there, and you'll see why as I explain the 5 chord. So that's the first thing I want you to learn is just the bass part. Now we're going to put the melody to the bass part. So we start with, and when you're playing fingerstyle, there's kind of two things, there's two paths that you can choose when you're putting notes together. You're either going to play notes together at the same time like this, or you're going to play, I always think of it as kind of a staggered effect where you play one note in the melody and then one note in the bass, but they're individualized notes. And that's what most fingerstyle is. It's playing either notes in unison or notes on their own. So you'll see a little bit of both of that as we break this down. So the first thing that we play is 2 notes in unison. So I'm fretting here with my ring finger on the 3rd fret 1st string, use my ring finger, and then my thumb is on the 6th string. And then I play the open 1 string, so we have. Now notice when I play the open 1 string, it's by itself. So there's an example of not being in unison. So we have. Now when I put my middle finger down on the 2nd fret, 2nd string, I'm going to play my bass note with it. So these two are in unison. So we have. And then we go back to the open 1 string on its own with my ring finger. So all together that looks like this. And you can see after you hit that note, then you hit the 6th string by itself. So it's a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your stomach, you know, that old trick. It seems hard at first, but then if you slow it down, you can start to do it. So that's really the format for this whole thing. So if we take it from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to go and go up to the 5 chord. And guess what? It's the same exact thing that you just learned. The only difference is your bass is now going to be on the 5th string instead of the 6th string. So that makes it easy. And you want to think about this, the notes that you're playing. All those notes they're just the minor pentatonic scale for the key of E. There's one exception though, and that's this note. And that's because that lives in the major pentatonic scale. Now if that's totally confusing to you, check out EP130 where I explain mixing the major and the minor pentatonic scale. And that's exactly what's happening here. We're minor, minor, and then we go into that major. And that's why it has more of a happy sound when you play that note with the reference. So let's back it all the way up now and play everything up to that point. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see to get between the 1 chord and the 4 chord and then back to the 1 chord, I just did that little slide every time. And then we walk up to the 5 chord, and I showed you how to do that by going with the bass note. Now, if you remember, I went ahead and made the B7 chord when I walked up to that note. So my fingers just lined up for it. So you can see what I'm doing there on the screen, or you can look at the tab if you're not sure how to make that B7 chord. But that's how I'm making it. Now, the melody part is played exactly the same from a cadence perspective or a timing perspective. The notes are a little different because I'm not going to be using the 1 and 2 string. Now I'm going to be using the 2 and 3 string. So it sounds like this. So all I'm doing is I'm keeping that B7 chord, and I put my pinky down on the 3rd fret 2nd string, and I play strings 2 and 5 at the same time. And then strings 3 and 5 at the same time. And then back to that open 2nd string. So it goes. So it's the same thing you did over the 1 and 2 strings. Now it's just over the 3 and 2 and 3 strings. Alright, so let me back up and play everything from the beginning. I'll play through it slowly. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from there, we're going to loop it back and play through one more time, and then there's a little ending part. I'm going to save that for the second half.